Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wordnama Short Story Discussion once again. Today, we are discussing Premium Harmony by Stephen King. At first glance, it seems like a simple story about a married couple on a trip to a convenience store, and the two of them have clearly hit a rough patch in their relationship. There is an undercurrent of irritation and resentment between them, and Ray, the husband, seems to be constantly choosing his words carefully so that a small disagreement doesn't snowball into a bigger fight. Now, the story follows his seemingly ordinary commute. The wife wants to pick up a few things, including a purple kickball for her niece and some candy. And all the while, we are inside Ray's head, hearing his private thoughts about his wife, his marriage, and the quiet unhappiness that seems to have settled between them. And then something happens when Mary goes inside the store. The story takes an unexpected emotional turn, for better or for worse, and we'll leave that for our discussion today. I've shared the link to the story in the description below, and if you haven't read it yet and would like to, you can still do that. With that, let's begin our discussion. Let me first invite Tabassum to share her thoughts about the story. Tabassum, over to you. Tabassum, are you there?
Hello.
Yeah, we
Hello,
can hear you.
Sneha. Thank you. Thank you. I like the story. I find it like a psychological horror drama than a normal fiction story, where the ghost was something like a deteriorating relationship between husband and wife. I find Mary's character, I mean, not like a conventional character in any fiction. She was very layered character in the short story. I I think she was dealing with a lot of things in her life that make uh, that made him a bitter person, I can say. She was dealing with the trauma of not being able to have a child, and that somehow leads to the deterioration of the relationship between her and his husband and her husband. I find the elements of psychological horror where she is taking care of her dog. She adopts a dog and find the dog like a baby. I think that was her coping mechanism, that she couldn't be a mother, and she treats the dog like a baby, as the Stephen King has mentioned in one of the line of the story, that she baby the dog like that. And what I find very interesting was like they were drifting apart from each other but still living with each other. I find the resemblance with lot of stories around me where people, where there is love. I can't say, I'm not saying that they were lacking the love, but they were somehow emotionally distant from each other, where her husband was more practical about the things and she was somehow very emotional and was not able to move on from certain realities. And moving on to her husband Ray, he was practical and he was also dealing with a lot of things like financial burdens, and he was coping up. He was also, to me, he was also coping up with this reality that he was not able to be a father, and he deals all of these things with the smoking. I think that was his coping mechanism, and he was finding himself like in a very different page than her wife, I guess. And to somehow the Stephen King used the I think symbolism very beautifully, like the purple ball, where they were going for a shopping, and they were going to pick up this purple ball for the niece of Mary. And when Mary died in the story, first of all, the death was very unexpected because she died in the very like middle of the shopping and all the chaos. And when she left the world, the ball was in the hands of her husband. I find that symbolism quite beautiful because it was just predicting something like life goes on. And I hated the fact that they have shown the suffering of the dog. I hate that. But at the end of the story, I didn't like that because obviously Mary used to treat the dog like a baby, and he forgets completely that the dog lies within the back of the car. And also uh, not I mean, I'm no one to judge Ray, but he was somehow in the denial that his wife left the world. And after that, he was able to move on, in not move on, like he accepted the fact quite quickly that she is no more. And within the car, when he was crying, either he was in the emotional denial or he was trying to accept the fact. That's the part of grief. I think we sometimes are not able to like accept certain things, and we are not able to let go of certain things. That's what I find from the story. By the way, I read the story in very hush hush way because I was in lab doing some work, and in between that I read the story. So yeah, that are my points. And yeah, craft wise, I like the symbolism and the using of, like, he didn't show the grief. He just let actions speak of the grief and their resentment. I love that fact. Yeah, that are my point of view regarding the story.
Great, Tabassum. So you analyze the story through a psychological perspective, and I think that's what the story calls for. Because I mean, what looks on the surface, it's not certainly the relationship about. It's something way deeper than that. So great
Yes, yes,
observation, Tabassum. And one particular thing I loved about your recommendation was, your analysis was, you observed that the couple did not have a child, and maybe that is why the fight happens between them. So that's a good point. Great.
yes, yes. Thank
Thank.
you.
Yeah. Gulesara, would you like to go next?
Yes, can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Actually, I just read the story once, so not to alter the raw thoughts it provoked in me. When I started reading it, it felt just like an ordinary story and simple words and all that. The prose was quite simple. Initially, the first four paragraphs seems a lot of like rushed action. Although it's a marriage, there is a lot of rush action. The one thing, there is no child, they are having a marriage. We are introduced to a lot of things like they are going to a mart. So the writer seems to be in a rush of things. Okay. And then again, it feels ordinary but too casual, like it doesn't matter, it's a marriage. It's normal thing to have a marriage like this where two people are fed up of each other, like it's completely normal. That's how a marriage is. No, it's not. Then again, what I felt is the husband Ray, he doesn't talk to his wife so much the way he talks inside his head. He's living a life kind of inside his head more. So the irritation he's feeling towards her, it's more obvious in that monologue. And I feel somehow that it's going on from the side of the husband more. Um, okay, the ending, it didn't come as a surprise. More of it came as quite an interesting end. Like, I don't know why I didn't feel a shock. Maybe I'm listening to a lot of such news these days on online, and so that it wasn't shocking. It just felt like, okay, right, this has happened. But one thing overall I found interesting is that I can feel a shadow living in him. For instance, when he tried, just give me a second, please. I have family here. Just okay, yeah. So I found a shadow at work, like it said that wherever we get triggered, we have some hidden resentment or some kind of hidden emotion that we have suppressed it for so long that it comes out at certain times. It's not gone, but it comes out at in different forms. When he hits back at her with a snide comment like for her food that she eats secretly, uh, although he says I'm trying to keep it inside, but it comes out somehow. I don't know how. And the same behavior is reflected when he sees the dog has died. He says it's kind of sad, but he's also finding it funny. So there is a side of him that he has suppressed for so long that he doesn't even know that exists. And so, yeah. And in the end, it feels like he may have poisoned her, although it's not obvious. But because there are still the, you know, leftovers of remains of coconut in the whiskers of the dog. So it seems like that's something he has given it to him and he has died. So there is a subtle hint of that. It may not be obvious because, again, the shadow is existing. So it can be he has slowly poisoned her because he has located the hidden location of her food that she's hiding. So it can be anything. It's left to the imagination of the reader again. But the one main thing that I found obvious is the shadow at work. That's all.
Great observation, Gulizar. And this, yes, whether the dog was poisoned or did it die out of its own accord, that's still a question because he closes the windows of the car while he leaves and forgets it inside. So, yes, that can be interpreted differently by every reader. Yes, I agree. All right, Nibras?
Yeah, I'm sitting at a very precarious location. My
Oh,
device keeps on falling off.
oh,
But this is the only point in my room where I have good Wi-Fi right now, so I have no other
oh,
choice. Um, so I have a lot to unpack in the story, but I don't think I've done all of that. Um, Majorly, I think for me, like the somehow the story feels like a critique of the American dream of capitalist dream because of the way everything is named in the story. Like there are a lot of departmental stores, names of foods. That was the thing that stood out the most to me, and I had to Google so much to be able to imagine those things from the story. And then because I think it connected to yesterday when we were talking about that comedian George Carlin. I saw one of his videos in which he talks about the American dream, and he says that America is a supermarket, a departmental store, because everything that is the American dream that we have these chains of departmental stores. And that was kind of reflected in the story. That's why I said that it's the most American story ever that I have read. Felt like that typical American family, the typical American average couple that you might see also because they are both not in the prime of their health. The woman is overweight, probably the man also, which is also the typical picture that you associate with the average American. So that was that. Also, Castle Rock is an fictional place that apparently Stephen King created, and many of his stories are set there. I didn't know that. I've
oh.
not read any Stephen King except Misery like years ago. So that was that. So I've highlighted some things which I'll go through. First of all, if somebody understood this, because this was a sports reference, went completely overboard for me. This was he sometimes thinks marriage is like a football game and he's quarterbacking the underdog team. He has to pick his spots, make short passes. I feel like this is something which succinctly summarizes his thought process, the man's, but I didn't understand it anything. So I'd say that I don't have a full appreciation of the male character in the story because I didn't understand what he was talking about over here. And then I feel like because it's been a long time that they have been married, they have sort of settled into it because he keeps on saying that marriage is like this after a while, marriage is like this after a while. But I could tell that there was a sense of that they are both fed up of each other, but for some reason they are still in it. The reason I feel like he is fed up of her is because when those two women from the departmental store come up, he compares her body to their bodies. So a measurement of their body, but in reference to the body of his own wife. So that was an indication that he might not be that much into her by this point. Um, Another thing that I highlighted was the dog. Gulazara said that he poisoned the dog and then he fed the dog something which he felt like the food might be off, but then he still tossed it to the dog that he took out of the package. So I don't know why, while I was reading this and everything was happening in the departmental store when Mary was dying, was already dead. So I was concerned that the dog was in the car, but I somehow remembered that he had left the window open. So I was like, nothing is going to happen. But in the end, that was unexpected because I didn't know the windows were closed. Another thing which I noticed was that when he was talking about that man, Mr. Ghosh, and that woman. So when he's talking about them, he wonders if they are together, that white woman and Mr. Ghosh, if they are together. And he says that he hopes not, that they're not together. They're not sleeping together. And the reason he gives, he immediately starts clarifying, not because Mr. Ghosh has brown skin. So even before he's had that thought, he immediately has to clarify that it's not racism. So that was interesting that whether the author or the protagonist or the character Ray himself wants to clarify that he's not being racist. So that was something. Now, what I felt like was even the title of the story, Premium Harmony. When she goes to get that ball from the store, he tells her to at least get her a pack of off-brand cigarettes, and he tells her they're called Premium Harmony. So that's also like the name of some brand, which is not that expensive. So that was the most outstanding thing in the story for me, that there are so many brand names that jump out at you. So again, the title of the story is also taken from that. Writing wise, style wise, I found something which I could like learn from the short story in terms of writing style. Like the first 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs are full of a lot of changes of tenses. If we look at the first sentence, he says they have been married for 10 years. And then by the end of the first bit of the story, he's talking in the present tense. He looks at Mary, he says this to her, he says this to her. So the smooth transitioning of the tenses, that is something that I struggle with in my own writing. So that is something I could take away from this as a lesson to be learned in writing from this story. So other than that, the rest of the people have covered largely what I thought about the story.
Great, Nibraz. This is one observation that I did not notice, the tense transition. And yes, he has done it very smoothly. Now that you mention, I'm going to reread it and consider how he has done that. And yes, good observation about Mr. Ghosh. He explicitly mentions that, it's not about your skin color and it's about that the lady is younger than him. So
I
that's a
also found that, when his wife is dead and now he's thinking about moving on, and her dead body was there like an hour ago. And already he's
Yeah.
considering if that other woman was flirtatious towards me or was it not flirtatious, but he thinks there was a hint of flirting in that. So that also, I don't know why, it seems American based on the movies I've seen. I've never been there. I don't know what the average people think, like in real life. But in the movies, like it's the same. You get the same vibe from the movies, especially from even the 70s, 80s, and 90s, of this swift moving on from one, you jump from situation to situation. So that was also something which I observed, that he moved on pretty quickly, but that might also have been because he was already not that much into her.
Yeah, I looked at it as I might forget mentioning this later, so I'm doing that now. I think it was more because he was numb. He was unable to process that his wife is dead. Plus, maybe during the moments of grief, we are in that situation. We have random thoughts which are not really intentional. I mean, we just tend to cope. It might be a coping mechanism where we try to deliberately distract ourselves. I don't know. I thought that he was.
I didn't get that feeling of him being actually grieved by the passing of his wife. And even, yeah, Tabassum raised a point about the dog, that the dog was kind of a replacement for because she could not conceive a child.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
like all of that motherly love, she showed it to the dog. I feel like this is something which men have built into a narrative, which they don't know if it's because the writer is a man, Ray is a man,
yeah.
but I don't think it's true. Um, I have two cats, and I think people also think that about me because I'm at an age where I should have had a kid, a toddler by now. But maybe I'm showing that motherly love to the cats. I don't think that an animal fulfills that exact part of a woman's life, like where they want to be mothers or something. They might, yes, show motherly love to an animal, but I think, okay, there's an earthquake.
What?
An earthquake just
Oh my
happened.
God.
Yes, I think there was an earthquake. I felt it's just,
Okay, it's still happening.
Oh my God.
Yes,
Is it?
yes, there is an earthquake.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Both of you from Kashmir?
Tabassum
She's
and
from
Mitraz.
Pakistan, but the mountain range Hindu Kush. Probably there. That's why we both felt it.
Okay.
Is it
Tabassum
better
is
now?
not saying anything.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
should
there is
also.
earthquake.
Oh God. Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah.
We normally feel the tremors here, but I think Delhi nothing came. Normally, very slight tremors do come to Delhi also. Maybe it's somewhere beyond in Afghanistan, that epicenter.
Maybe, yeah.
Has it stopped now?
Yeah,
I'll
it's
say
like
that.
but I feel like men feel like it does. So I've yet to read a woman writer who said that it happens like this, but I don't know.
Yeah, that could be a possibility. I mean, we are reading it from a male perspective. So that's the feeling probably he gets and not Mary. Yes, and Nipraz, I think that it was numbness and confusion around her death, his wife's death, because when he shouts that wake up, Mary, and he's not able to accept the fact that at this early age, I mean, she's in early 30s, right? That he mentions.
Yeah.
At this age, she's already dead, and when Mr. Ghosh asks him that, should I cover Mary's mouth, face? So he
Yeah.
says that don't do it, probably she's only unconscious and she's fainted.
Yeah.
So maybe that is why he's taking it a little casually that fine, she'll be fine, because she's
Yeah.
overweight. Maybe she has fainted for that reason and she'll be okay in some time. So, I mean, I have this feeling that because during that time, when the gurney did not come and the people from hospital did not come, he was still in
Hmm.
the moment of processing his wife's death. So probably
Yeah.
because of that. This is just
But
one perspective.
there
Yeah.
was this point when I haven't highlighted it, but he was kneeling by her body, and he was
Yeah.
thinking about whether if he gets up, people will say something like that. People might think that he's getting up too quickly or something. I mean, his legs were in pain and his knees were in pain, but because he feared what people would say, he didn't get up. I
Yeah.
think that was what.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was something
But
like that. I have to reread it. Even I don't remember
I
exactly.
also have to read it because
Yeah,
maybe I
yeah.
missed something in how he was processing what happened.
Probably. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
You might have missed something there. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
the point is between Afghanistan and Tajikistan. That's where the impact happened, 5.7. That's why even Tabassum felt it.
Oh, 5.7 is.
Oh, but it happened 70, 80 kilometers away from wherever these guys are. But still, it was too strong for them to feel here.
It was too
Stay safe,
strong.
guys. Stay
It
safe.
was too strong.
But
I
its
hope it
epicenter
doesn't.
is in Pakistan, it says. I don't know.
Oh, I hope everything is fine. All right. Valley, do you have to say something?
You want me to give you the review?
Yeah, sure. Everything
Yeah.
is safe. I hope everything stays safe. Yes, please.
So I read the story twice, but I can't understand why the name Premium Harmony. But on the second thought, harmony of a relationship of a husband and wife, it is very, special, you know. So if I go to the just first sentence, they have been married for 10 years and for a long time everything was okay. So this one sentence tells that the marriage is stale now, that it's over now in a way. And then he keeps giving us different examples, telling exactly how the marriage is. So the point is that when she actually dies, he doesn't really react. He's kneeling down and he's thinking, should I stand up? Would it be okay? Because it does not reach up to him, because for him this marriage had ended a long time back. And even when he says this sentence uh, about the match, I didn't mark it, but like he's like a quarterback, that part. So he's always on the defensive. He does not want anything to happen. When she could not have a baby, and he was like, what to do now? Give her a dog. She started taking, she was the one who accepted the baby. And for him, it was somebody, I give him the food, I do this, but he still shits outside. For him, this was so important that he never accepted the dog. That's why he got the dog in the end. For him, the dog was not important. For him, she was not important. And all that he gained out of this, her death, was his freedom. And when a marriage is dead and you are not thinking of divorce or separation, and suddenly she dies, that is freedom. I mean, I don't know. And then I feel this is a very typical American story written for non Americans to tell us, to introduce us to their American culture and to show us a window in their real life. How everybody is eating and putting on weight. All the three women are, she is supposed to be 200 pounds. And the next two women introduced are fatter than her. I don't want to use the word fatter. Then how in the supermarket it had to be an Indian, a colored person. Everything is like, because all supermarkets, there was a time in 80s, 90s, 70s, all supermarkets had Indians. Indians were the ones running it. So it was a very typical, scenario for a non-American to understand what a typical American is. I think it's a satire on their own culture, in a way. His wife is barely dead, and he's already thinking of flirting because now he's free. The other thing is, I liked his language. Of course, tenses was pointed out. But when we are editing, we are always polishing everything to make it look so perfect. So I just cite this one sentence. I don't eat those no more, she says. Any more. I mean, while editing it, we would change this. We would make it more acceptable, more grammatical correct. But this is so much like she's on a defensive and she's telling, I will not eat. And the short sentences. So, yeah, that's it. I don't have much to say about this story because for me, it's a pretty good thing. I mean, it's a pretty good. I really didn't have anything much to review except for these couple of points.
Great. Thank you so much, Valley. I mean, I did not notice the short sentences and the other points that you mentioned. And of course, the title intrigues me as well. Why did Stephen King choose this title only? Primum harmony, because,
You
and
know,
maybe that has to do something with the marriage, with the harmony word in it. Yes, now it sounds
when I started giving
related.
the review, then it struck me that harmony of a marriage.
Harmony of a marriage, yeah. Now it
That's
makes
when it
sense.
started. I had it very clear written why this title, why this title. I had written it in my notes because I could not understand it myself. Yeah. But then we have to remember that Stephen King started writing at a very, very young age. He was barely 8 or 10 years old. And he set up a small printing machine in his basement and used to print these stories and sell them 50 pence.
Uh-huh.
So the kind of experiences he has, we cannot equal it in this lifetime at least.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Okay. All right. Great thoughts, Valley. Thank you. Jagdeep, do you have anything to add? Did you read the story, or shall I proceed with my opinion?
No, I've got nothing to say about the story. I haven't read it. I won't read it. But then I'm just happy to be here. That's all.
You just have to?
I am happy to be here. That's all. I
Okay.
just had some time in the office today. It's weekend. I thought I'll just log in and see what you guys are doing. And turns out people are enjoying earthquakes, no less. So yeah.
No, I hope everything is better now. Nibras, did you feel the vibrations again? No, no?
No,
Okay.
it's fine now. I think it's one of those earthquakes and it's closer to the surface. Even
Uh-huh.
if the magnitude is less, you feel it. But if it's like deeper in the earth, then the magnitude is less, you won't feel it. It won't have that much of a range. So the epicenter must have been closer to the like surface of the earth. So the horizontal range was more.
Okay. All right. All right. So I'll just quickly present my analysis of the story, and then we can proceed with our informal chat conversation. All right. First of all, guys, I chose this story because it captures a marriage which does not talk about any grand emotion. It's talking about the day-to-day arguments, the resentments, habits that we have, and also because sometimes people become so accustomed, a couple becomes so accustomed to conflicts that irritation becomes a part of the fabric of love itself. That is what I felt about Ray and Mary both, and about their relationship in general. And I like the character of Ray. Initially, I found his thoughts about Mary insensitive and even sexist, as Nibraz also mentioned. I mean, the dialogue when I think Tabassum mentioned it, that she was eating Little Debbie, and he comments on that habit of hers because she was a little overweight. But then I feel because it has been filtered, the story has been filtered through a male perspective, we only know one side of the story. And that probably, if we try to understand him as a husband who's been into a long standing marriage, someone who is frustrated with the constant conflicts they have between them, I think that makes him more ordinary, playful, sarcastic, humorous. He does have a dry sense of humor, so that makes him more realistic, despite the fact that it's an American story, it's an American couple, because the psychology is the same. It's universal. That's the feeling I got when especially during the end when he, suffocates himself with the smoke, and he closes the windows and smokes with the AC on. So that maybe, he's finally come to the terms that Mary is dead, and a person I was so irritated with all through my life now is no more. And he's feeling lonely finally. So that's simply a way human mind reacts when you don't know how to process a sudden happening in your life, which is so drastic, which is so extreme. So that's what, I mean, I had a little sympathy towards the character, especially after reading the ending. And yes, I also observed this line that he sometimes thinks marriage is like a football game, and he's quarterbacking the underdog team. He has to pick his spots, make short passes. Now, in American football, I asked this to my son because he's very fond of football. So, quarterback is the player who directs the offense. He tries to move the team down the field. And the quarterback has to be strategic. So maybe he thinks that he must be strategic with his marriage because he can't win every argument with Mary, and he doesn't want to. He wants the marriage to survive. So he's playing his games carefully. His moves. Sorry, something happened with my Zoom. Yeah, okay. So he's playing his move carefully because he doesn't want to pick up a fight with Mary, and he wants everything to be peaceful. Even Mary wants the purple ball. When Mary wants the purple ball, he realizes that this is probably not the hill to die on. This is his dialogue, internal dialogue, which means that it's okay. It's not worth a major argument. Right. So that's why I feel that, he's trying to move on with the marriage, and maybe he wants to be with Mary after all. And there is also this
That quote reference. Sorry, Sneha.
yeah, Nibras. You're saying something?
So that quarterbacking reference is kind of like meaning that he has been doing those small adjustments, sort of, to make sure that the marriage runs smoothly.
Yeah, see, a quarterback is a weak team in football. So if a player is trying to direct the offense, he knows that, we are struggling underdog. He mentions this word in the sentence also, that, the underdog, which means he already knows that if he picks up a major argument with his wife, he's going to probably lose. He's not that good a person who can put up a good fight with Mary. And he doesn't want to, because he
Okay.
mentions that,
Okay.
yeah, it's
Okay.
not something that we need to pick a major argument on. So probably that's
Okay.
what I understand of with the
Sorry
time.
to interrupt you, Sneha, but quarterback is a position in football.
That's
It's a
what I said.
position. I used to play quarterback, so it's a position just before the goalpost, so that you can just ward it off. He was
Yeah.
just being defensive, not getting, just as you said. But I wanted, just as you said, not getting into arguments with her. He was
Yeah,
avoiding it,
exactly.
strategic about it. But it's not a team, as you said. I mean,
It's not
I'm
a,
little.
yeah, it's not a team.
Quarterback is
It's not
a position. It's not a team. I thought you said it's a team. It's a weak team.
No, it's a player, underdog. When he mentions underdog, so
Underdog.
underdog team, as in, I don't remember the exact sentence, what
That
he
was
said, but
correct.
yeah, there was a word where he mentions that underdog, which means he's on the weaker side. If they are pitted against each other, he's on the weaker side and he can't really win a major argument. So it's okay to win, small arguments with her. Like he comments on the Little Debbie part, that you also need to change your habit of eating Little Debbies, right? So he's a quarterback. Quarterback is also a player who is, a player who directs the offense, a position which the player takes. And a player also is called a quarterback many times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he needs to be strategic, especially when he knows that he might lose the game. Okay. So moving on with the other points, I was wondering why does he read the labels on the t-shirts at this moment, when he should be rather rushing his wife to the hospital. And then again, I thought that it's because of the numbness he feels. He's unable to decide what to do. And he's just simply so shocked that he just stupidly looks around and reads the t-shirt messages like a dumb idiot instead of hurrying his wife to a hospital. Maybe it highlights the unpredictability of life and how something might just end like that, and you're still in a shock. So these were my observations. And I've noted your observations as well, because everybody, I think, today has observed something which I haven't. So I've noted every little point that you mentioned. So yes, that's my review of the story. All right. Anybody else would like to add something? I had one question. There was a confusion. I've noted that question. What was it? One second. I thought I'll ask you because okay. Does the story reveal that the two were in love, or was it was the love diminishing, or was it the, what do you call, erosion of love? And the second question, do you sympathize with the character? But of course, after listening to all of you, I don't think you do. I'm the only one who is doing that. But maybe the first question is more relevant now, that do you think they were in love, or at least Ray was in love with Mary, or was it?
They were not in love, according to me. The love had gone out of the window a long time back. They were just coping up, living with each other, because probably to leave each other, there was no great, they did not have any major point not to live together. So it was just, they were just going on living, but they were no longer in love,
But
either of them.
why did Ray close the windows in the end and smoke with the AC on and cry? Why did he cry? I mean, that part, I mean, ultimately, when he comes to terms with the grief, it is mentioned that he cries, right? And he also smokes with the windows. I mean, that's
There
a
is
very
difference.
specific.
Just for crying, he says, it's a relief to sound just right for the situation. They lived together for a while, almost 10 years, I guess, more than 10 years, I guess. You know,
I also think so. Like there is difference between attachment and love. Like you're attached to that person.
Mm-hmm.
you get used to it, just the way you get used to furniture in your house, you get used to people in your house.
But then there is a soft corner, right? There is a soft corner for Mary in Ray's heart. That's what I'm asking. Because he cries, it's very clearly mentioned in the story that he cries. And the end, especially, how do you interpret the ending? Nobody has talked about it, so that's what I'm wondering.
You know what? I feel like this story is, as Valley said, it's a satire on the whole American system. I feel like there were vestiges of love like in their relationship, because I think in America it's the idea is huge. There's no concept of like arranged marriage or something. You marry for love. That is the dominant thought
Yeah.
around marriage there. So they must have been in love at some point. But then I think the dominant uh, what do I call it? The dominant theme of the story is that their economic conditions are affecting everything. They're about to go bankrupt. They're moving to a different place. They want to get a good price for the house. So that's why they're going to get those grass seeds, right? For which they're actually going to Walmart in the first place. So I think that lack of financial security has clouded everything.
But
And that is why it's a satire on the American dream, because that was what had been promised, that they would create an abundance of wealth. But now, because of the lack of wealth, everything else is also seeping out, including love. There might have been vestiges of it left, but I don't think, as of now, like in the present moment in the story, they're actually in love with each other.
Then why does he cry? Yeah, maybe because as Tabassum also said, that there is an
He
attachment.
cried. I don't remember. When did he cry?
It's mentioned in
Yes,
the
he
story
cried. He
somewhere.
cried in the car. In the car, he cried.
Yeah, in the car he cried. It's mentioned in the story that he finally cries, and he smokes.
Yeah.
Finally, he gets to smoke.
For 1 second, says great sadness and amusement sweep over him. Then in the next paragraph, he says, well, you are with her now, aren't you? He's talking to the dog. He
Yeah.
says, and this is sad that he begins to cry. He begins to cry because the dog is with her.
Yeah, so but it's not because the dog dies. I mean, because both of them have died, and somewhere he holds himself maybe responsible for it. Maybe that's the guilt. I am not sure if it's
Maybe.
guilt or love, but
I
there's some.
honestly, reading it now, I feel like he's crying because he's free
I also
to do
feel
whatever he wants.
because I feel his
Tears of
the
happiness.
importance of freedom is too much at the end. And he celebrates it by by shutting the windows and putting the air conditioner on and smoking.
That's a self-deprecating behavior. I mean, that's not something people
But
would do
it
when
said,
they are
but
happy.
You know,
That's his freedom, that's
there's
his
this
choice.
sentence, while he's crying, it comes to him that now he can smoke all he wants and anywhere in the house. He can smoke right there at her dining room table.
That's again
But that's
freedom.
mentioned before this, before he closes the windows, right?
Yeah, it does say that he was sad when he says that, well, you're with her now, ain't you? He says, and this is so sad that he begins to cry. This
Yeah.
particular fact that the dog died with Mary, that saddens him. Not that Mary died particularly, but that the dog died with her. So that makes him sad. He cries, and then while he's crying, he realizes that he's free.
I agree.
Maybe also that it doesn't matter now because he's not responsible for anyone. You know, now
Yeah.
he's alone, so he can
That's
even
again,
die smoking. He
And
can
also
afford to
at
buy.
the
Yeah.
after this, after the crying spell, and he says, poor old Mary, poor old Biz, and he's still crying, and he goes back into the store, and he wants to see if Mr. Ghosh would also offer him those cigarettes on the house.
On the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the funny part. Yeah, yeah.
That indicates he was not at guilt at all.
I think he's more guilty for killing the dog than for his wife died.
Yes, it might be.
I
But
don't know.
then,
I
you know,
still,
it's very the quickness of these emotions that he goes there, he's worried about Mary, then he's worried about what the people will say, then he comes out, he feels sad because of the dog, then he's crying, and then he's remembering that he's free, then he goes back in to check if he could get free cigarettes. This is a loop of emotions happening so
There
quickly.
is
Maybe
so
that's
quick.
also a
Exactly.
satire on the whole American system.
But doesn't that happen in Indian scenario also, Nibraz? I mean, people are frustrated when they are not financially sound. And if it's a marriage where there are no children, there's no hope, there are constant conflicts, then, and of course, if you
And
observe it from a male perspective, don't you think this is true for India as well?
Absolutely, it's true for
there are
anywhere in
constant
India.
conflicts, but I don't know if people are like in conflict because of not having a child in the marriage. Why do they stay in the marriage? That I never understood that. But I think what is not Indian about it, at least what I have not seen in like lived experience, is the quickness with which he moves from one emotion to another. Like when I lost my grandma, for a few hours, I was processing the fact that she's not going to be here like a living presence. It took a few hours to get to understand that she is not here anymore, and I didn't have the capacity to cater to like multiple emotions during that time. But then also that differs from person to person, which is why the way Ray is processing this is also a commentary on Ray as a character himself.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, it could be, I mean, Ray as an individual, not something generic that happens to everyone,
Yeah,
especially in
maybe
the
that's
context
why
of.
what you said about how grief is processed, like
Hmm.
maybe that's something peculiar to Ray. Maybe it's a thing for some people, and Ray is one of those people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's why maybe, I don't know why, but I still feel pity for him somehow, despite whatever we understand of his character, especially about the dog.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Thank you so much, everyone, for your thoughts and analysis. And we are going to meet soon with the book discussion. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you.